Let's learn how to work with AutoKey. I really enjoy using AutoKey because it saves time creating animation. However, we need to always be aware when it's on because just as fast as we can create animation, we can also mess things up if we are not careful. Let's go ahead and enable it and add some offsets to our path animation. So we'll find it at the bottom right corner of Maya, right next to our preferences icon. Let's go ahead and enable it, clicking on the key button, and now we can go ahead and move over to frame 1 and get started. So let's say we have the ship kind of arc down and then arc back up in the y-axis. We'll start there. Now if we were to go ahead and just translate our ship up and start to scrub, you can see, all right, the offset's there, but there is no animation. The reason why is because we first need to set an initial keyframe. So let's make sure we're grabbing the ship control. On frame 1, we'll press Shift W and also Shift E to set translate and rotate keys. We'll add a little bit of rotation also. All right, great. So now, as we start to scrub, let's go ahead and pick a time where we'd like to have the aircraft arc down. Let's say on about frame 35. We'll go ahead and translate the ship down. And just FYI, I am using the local mode for our ship. That way, we're moving local to our parent. You can see how our move tool is at a bit of an angle, but that will help us to animate a lot cleaner because you can see we're only moving in one axis here. If you like to set your manipulator to local mode, it's just a matter of holding down the W key and the left mouse button. That's a fast way to access this menu. Then we'd want to choose axis and then choose local. If you'd like to go back to the root of the menu, simply drag to the gray dot at the top here. Another way to do that is to double click on your move tool. You can get to its settings from here. Same thing goes for your rotate tool. So if I were to press the E key, you can see right now, switch it over to gimbal, but we could always switch that back to local or even use world mode. In our case, we'll go ahead and work with local and close out our settings. Okay, great. So going back to the move tool, we have this ship kind of moving down. Let's go ahead and have it move back up at the end. So on frame 70, we'll go ahead and just translate the ship up. Great. What I'd also like to do is translate it up on frame 1, just because we can. Now, the reason why is it will add more to the arc. So we scrub from 1 to 35. You can see that's looking a little bit nicer now. But what we need to do next is add some rotation. Otherwise, it'll appear as if our ship is hovering instead of flying. So on about frame, let's say 17, as the ship starts to move down, we can go ahead and have it rotate down in the x-axis. You'll notice that when you choose the channel from the channel box, you're given these different type of constraint rings. So this is what we saw in gimbal mode. And as we use these manipulators, we know for sure what axis we are moving in. So if we were to add some movement to the z-axis, you could see, all right, the z-axis and only that axis is being updated. Same thing goes for the y-axis. And that's the downside of using the local tool. So if we were to just press the E key, here is the local manipulator. You can see how it differs. Now as we start to drag in the center of this, you can see we're updating all channels. But it is a little bit faster to set poses this way. And again, if you'd like to learn more about how to work with these tools, feel free to take a look at character interaction in Maya. What I'll now do is again go back to the rotate x-axis and kind of rotate down for our arc on 18. Beautiful. So now as the ship starts to move up, we need it to rotate up, and we can do that on about frame 49. So we'll go back to the x-axis and rotate the ship up and have it kind of arc up now. Beautiful. And then when we get to the very end, we can have it kind of flatten out just slightly. on frame 70. So I've just brought the x-axis down just a little bit. Okay, great. So here is what we have done with AutoKey. We've really added some very nice improvements to our airship so that it really appears as if it's flying through an environment. Great. Well, at this point, we can stop the lesson. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at a very neat animation tool that allows us to interactively edit this object's motion trail. So we'll learn exactly what that does and what that means in the following lesson.